Hey everybody, Howard Jacobson here from Sick to Fit, Plant Yourself, Well Start Health, yada, yada, yada. And today I want to talk about a superhero. And it's my dad. And I'll tell you the day that I discovered that he had superpowers. So we lived in northern New Jersey. And so I would wake up on Sunday mornings and there would be in the house, bagels and all sorts of great Jewish baked goods. So names you may not be familiar with: bialys, pretzels, and of course, onion rolls. And bagels were, there were like four varieties in those days. It was like cinnamon raisin hadn't been invented yet. It was plain sesame, poppy, onion, garlic, maybe pumpernickel if you were fancy. And say maybe I was like 8 or 9 years old when my father decided to take me on his secret mission. And it was like late at night, past my bedtime, probably 10:30 at night. And we're driving pretty far. And I don't know exactly to this day where we ended up, but it was urban. It was north. Remember, it was cold. It's probably, say like November, February, something like that. And rain slicked streets. You could see the reflection of the street lamps on the pavement and on the asphalt of the street. And not a neighborhood that like I would walk around. certainly in those days, sort of urban, gritty, and sort of old. Like the neighborhood felt old. And it might have been Jersey City or Hoboken or Union City, someplace like that. But my dad pulls up to the curb and we get out and we go to this bakery that's open late at night. And there, everything is being baked fresh. It's like I'd never had a bagel that had just come out of the oven. I'm watching them dunk bake them, put them in, put them in there in the molding trays, dunk them in the boiling salt water, pull them out, pull them in the baking trays, and like seeing bagels being made. And we probably got, a dozen and a half, baker's dozen. And then, I'm already really impressed. Like, how does anyone even know where this is? Then we drive down the street some more and everything's closed at this point. It's probably 11 o'clock at night, except there's one little storefront with a light on. And my dad says, just stay in the car. I'll be about in a second. And he pops in and pops back out, and he's got a newspaper, big, thick newspaper under his arm. And at that point in my life, there were only two sections of the newspaper that I wanted. And the Star Ledger had them both. Our North Jersey Star Ledger had the comics and the sports section. The New York Times had a sports section, but no comics. So I would have to settle for the sports section. My dad, she gives me the paper. I think it's weird getting the paper late at night. And then I look at the top, right underneath the masthead, and the date was the following day. The date was tomorrow. This was a Saturday night, and my dad got Sunday's newspaper. And I can't tell you how blown my mind was. I mean, I wasn't thinking rationally, certainly not at the age of 8 or 9. But like, this was time travel. Like, what could we do with tomorrow's newspaper? Could we bet on the horse races, on the baseball games, on the football games, the basketball games? Could we change, history? Like, that's where my mind was going. Let me take these out. I can hear myself. And all the way home, I'm looking at tomorrow's newspaper. And my dad knows where to get fresh bagels late at night, and he knows how to get tomorrow's newspaper. And for a long time after that, I was sure that he had plenty more magical powers, that he was just hiding from me. I wasn't ready for them yet. I wasn't ready to come into my inheritance. Maybe he felt like, Helios driving the chariot of the sun, and he didn't want to tell his son Phaeton too soon because he would want to take the reins. But I was really excited. Like, tomorrow's newspaper today. You're probably thinking, well, that's not that impressive, because it wasn't actually tomorrow's news. It was just the paper with whatever they had up to date, plus all of the supplements, lifestyle, real estate, magazine, advertising supplements, all the stuff that they would do well in advance to get ready for the big Sunday paper. I know that now. And I realized that for all my father's amazing qualities, this trip did not prove that he was a superpower. But to me, at that age, it did. And it felt like this was things beyond normal human capacity. And I'm thinking about that now because one of the ways a lot of us get drawn into self-improvement is through examples, through other people doing it, through a really compelling before and after story, through someone who is an exceptional performer. So if you've watched The Game Changers, you know that the role models in there are, Patrick Baboumian, the world's strongest man, Lewis Hamilton, the racing star, Dotsie Bausch, the Olympic medalist cyclist, Scott Jurek, the world's most badass long distance runner. And so we can look at these people and think, well, they are superheroes. Just like my dad could get tomorrow's newspaper, they have some special powers that allow them to do things that normal humans can't. And that gets in our way. And I understand why media does this, because before and after is exciting. It's contrast, it's surprising, it's conflict, it's the arc, right? The hero's journey arc that we crave in our storytelling. But when we see people at the after stage and they're doing things that we can't do, it is too easy to assign superhero status to them. And the problem with that is that it separates us from them. We are looking at them at their peak of success, because by definition, we're not looking at people who are just starting their struggle. Who's interested in that? And in fact, there's an entire, Instagram, Facebook, social media genre of people who are starting to document their change, and somehow most of them never make the change. What they end up gathering to them is other people who kind of wish and want and desire and intend, but it becomes a giant excuse fest. And people are supporting each other in their stuckness, in their lack of traction. But when we're talking about people who are actually role models of the successful change, then, ding, that's my daughter. I'll talk to her in a minute. There we go. When we're looking at people who are role models of successful change, who are at their peak, who have overcome, who have accomplished, it's really important to shake off the cobwebs of hero worship. My dad got the same paper that anyone else could get. He was not a magical person because he got Sunday Times on Saturday night. Josh LaJaunie is not a magical person because he used to weigh 420 pounds and now he can run 100 miles in 24 hours. Right. What we're not seeing is all the behind the scenes grind, all the behind the scenes steps and processes, the support that he gotten along the way, the mistakes he's made, the bad days, the discouragement. That's all there. It's all real. If you are following a role model who pretends that that doesn't exist, get a different role model. And if you are blinkering yourself, putting on blinders so that all you see is the other person's perfection, then you're never going to do what they did. You're never going to take the daily, boring, uncomfortable, repetitive, minor actions that build upon each other, that accrete to generate real change. And just like if you take a picture of yourself every single day, or you just look in the mirror, you don't notice from day to day how you've changed. But when you go back 20 years and you look at a photo and you look at yourself now, you go, oh my God, look at that. Transformation. Maybe it's not the transformation you're hoping for, right? A few too many wrinkles, a lot less hair. But it feels, because it's so sudden, it feels miraculous in some way. But that's not how change happens. It happens 1 minute at a time, one step, one decision, one action at a time. And that's everybody's superpower. Sick to Fit retreat in New Orleans. If you want to see how it's done, if you want to rub up against people who are successfully navigating plant-based bipedal lifestyle in the real world, in New Orleans, the decadent capital of the world. Nice. A podcast interview in 10 minutes. Anyway, check out sicktofit.com/NOLA, lowercase NOLA, if you're interested in joining me and Josh to see how we navigate New Orleans, how we can, if we can be healthy there, we can be healthy anywhere. So check that out if you're interested. We still have 3 spaces available, either for individuals or couples. And if you're interested, we will have a talk and see if it's a good fit. Otherwise, have a happy weekend. Let's keep 2020 moving forward. There's nothing to wait for. Just grab life by the reins and do. Talk to you later. Be well.